All right, hi guys, and hi Instagram people too. Okay, so today we have Maverick with us, and just to share a little bit about how we got to know each other. Of course, I know him first, lah, right? Instead of him knowing me, I know him through his emails. Really, I know him through his emails. For whatever reason, or I can't remember how I first subscribed to your emails, but all I remember is that back in those days, I was working in a 9 to 5 job. And your email comes not every day, right? It was like once a week. I can't remember exactly. I think it was every Friday or something.
Yeah, I try
like
to
that.
keep it once a week.
Yeah, so every Friday, and I had such a good time reading those emails, and I think that's the reason why I left my 9 to 5 job and
Wow, okay.
and got to a 12 to 12 job instead, which is an entrepreneurship route, right? It's like definitely a lot harder than a 9 to 5 job.
I think you come to Kickstart, right? Was it?
Yeah, that's how I actually got
Okay.
subscribed to your emails.
Okay, yeah, because we will spam everyone who comes to the Kickstart events.
But that's the key thing, right? The emails were so good that, I mean, Kickstart is one of the reasons, but I think, it's not every day I get to leave the office early back then. So those emails really helped making me start thinking about my life, I would say.
Really? Okay.
Yes, it does. So why don't you just introduce yourself to the crowd and share about yourself?
Oh, cool. Okay, so basically I look at this camera, right?
You can look here, look there, say hi
Okay.
everywhere.
So sorry for the Instagram people that I'm breaking eye contact because he's larger. Okay, so I guess I started marketing when I was in 2005. So that's like a good almost 15 years already. But of course, we started with newspaper ads. I think that's where I started to learn copywriting. And then from there, when newspaper ad doesn't work, we moved to fax marketing. And then nowadays, fax are dead. I finally cut off my fax line beginning this year after 8 years of not receiving a single fax.
So what do you use it for?
Paperweight. So yeah, but which was already digitalized anyway. All my faxes are digitalized anyway. So then after that, we move on to emails. So I realized that emails still work, especially in the B2B space. So most of my businesses are in the B2B space. That's where the sales cycle is longer. So I think emails work tremendously well for that group. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I am today, I guess. I think 93% of my businesses, of all the sales that I get, actually starts from an email. And most of the time it's a cold email.
Wow, cold email.
Yeah, because I hate cold calling. So cold email, if I pick up a name card on the floor, I will pick it up, I'll research, and then from there I will start emailing the shit out of the person, drip campaign or whatever until the person buy. So yeah, you get scolding. I get someone from the Ministry of Health. Yeah, this is a hint for you guys, who sent me an envelope with a piece of tissue with shit on it. So I'm like, wow, that's awesome. But you guys are not very smart, the MOH people. You know why? Because you remove they use a normal paper, but they actually have a stamp on it. So it's like they are trying to be ambiguous, but that's how I know it's actually from MOH, the Shah Alam branch. Not very smart. Yes, but that's besides the point. I'm pretty sure they don't do it nowadays anymore.
Wow, that's
Yeah, you get shit mail, right?
yeah, literally shit mail.
Yes.
Okay, but let's get started. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we have plenty of questions, right? So the first one would be from Chen Neo. And Chen Neo actually asked, can email be used to build relationships with client? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I managed to get her to quit her job.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine. Okay, but I think, like just like I mentioned, why B2B it works a lot better is because you need to think back of the days of when Dell was doing marketing. So Dell understood the customer journey really well. So they were actually faxing flyers almost every hour to someone. So because back in the day when your client would say, hey, Maverick, I'm going to send a fax over right now. And then you would like go over and wait the fax machine. And fax machines are like freaking slow, like 5 minutes come out one, and shit, it's actually a flyer. It's not the thing that the client, so that you see the queue. But after a while looking at the flyers, right, it kind of like implant in you. So the next time when you think about buying a laptop, you actually think of, hey, why not I buy Dell? So it was from there that I realized that actually email works the same way, because if you are a corporate employee, which you can testify last time, you have to clear your inbox every day, which means that every day I got like one chance to basically catch your attention. So I guess, answering a few questions that's further down as well.
Yeah.
If the subject line is interesting, like 8 out of 10 men will commit suicide if they don't get a promotion within 3 years. So those kind of titles will get people like, holy shit, will I be like in the statistics? And then they'll click and read, right?
Yeah.
So I think 80% of the battle for email marketing, right, starts with the subject line. Because if you notice any app, email app that you use, the one that gets bolded the most is always the email subject line. So you don't know the person, you don't know the email, you don't know the source.
Yeah.
Sometimes they give you a preview, but not all the time you get it. So the subject line is like the one that's catchy. Although some people say try to keep it like 7 words, but I think if the title is really interesting, people will actually click on it. Like 7 things you must do as a manager before you die. So those kind of stuff, people like click, even though they're not the manager, they will click as well, right? We call that clickbait, but it works really well on email actually.
So do you see this clickbaity style? Like I noticed you use words like, suicide and die, and those are really big words, right? Where it actually captures attention. But you were also saying B2B, right? So like B2B, do people actually, get all these words as well? Do they look at it and say, wow, what's going to happen to me?
I think end of the day, B2B or not, you are still a human. So if I appeal to the human side of you, you will still click it. Of course, you don't put suicide. Like chances are, if you put keywords like suicide or die, you will most probably end up in the spam mail first. So you always have to be careful with the subject line. But I think things like 7 out of 10 or 7 ways to do certain things, that has been working for me, at least for the past 15 years, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but of course, B2C, like those emails that I sent you, you can be a bit more casual. You add more personality into it. So yeah, I think if you add some personality and you stand out, I think that's fine. That's okay.
But let's just touch a bit on subject headline. So I remember people always, do stuff like, "Oops, I'm sorry," like the subject headline.
Yeah.
And I always thought that person is someone that I know, because why would you say sorry to me if I don't know you, right?
Correct.
Then I actually open the emails, but at the same time, opening the emails also doesn't mean click-throughs, right? So what are your thoughts between open rates and click-through rates?
Okay. So open rate, usually in modern terms, I guess you can say that it counts as a view, means they actually seen it.
Yeah.
Whereas if they click through, I guess it's what CTA or engagement rate. So, but the fact is that if they open it, I think it's already quite good that they, at least the brand is that. That's why after the subject line, the paragraph is the most important. The first paragraph is the most important thing as well. So then after that, some emails that you read that I wrote can be quite long. So people always ask, will long emails work? So the longest test I've done is 3,000 words. So that one's too long. I think the longest you can do most probably is 1,002. But it's always okay to be long as long as it's not long-winded. So you think about those friends that can sit through like, is it 7 or 8 seasons of Games of Thrones? So they got their attention. So as long as it's interesting, right, people will continue reading, you see. And don't forget, email is text-based. So there's always one thing that emails can do that videos and podcasts can't. Because with video, you cannot fast forward. Like you'll miss certain parts if you fast forward. But email, you can just still skip it through. So if the way you format it, you just put like little cluster bombs of information throughout, they get the gist of it. I think that's good. So engagement, of course, if you put a couple of clicks, you will know whether a couple of links, you will know whether they read how far. But I would actually look at open rate as well, because that's a true measure of the copywriting on the subject line. Yeah.
I think, it's true. Like people, no matter how good your content is, if people are not going to open it, then people are not going to see what you click on also, right?
Yes.
So either way, open rate is still definitely very important than only optimize for click-throughs.
No, actually, that's where some people get it wrong. So actually, before open rate, the more important one is actually inboxing rate. So inboxing rate means actually the email, whether even it gets to the inbox rather than the spam box. So a lot of times I see some, I guess sadly it happens a lot in the government offices. So they will send you an email with a title, and then the whole email is just an image. Sure, kena spam on. It's like that's your ratio to image to text is like so piss poor, right? So please, for the ministries, you can always engage me. I know you guys have the money anyway. But the thing is that so sometimes they put the whole flyer in like this. It's just lazy because that one you send out, sure kena spam for sure. So I would rather you put one line of text and you get into the inbox rather than do like such a nice infographic and it ends up in spam.
Yeah. So I think that is to answer Exxon Lee's question, like he asked what format of layout can he use to reduce spam rates. So like what he said, please don't just put one big picture and that's it, right? It
Correct.
doesn't work that way.
I think there's a certain ratio, like I think 50-50 is good, but I think images is always an excuse for poor storytelling.
Right.
Because if you write good storytelling, you can omit the images. And if you send to corporates, one thing you have to understand that some companies are so freaking ancient, they still use Lotus. Lotus Notes, where you only have like a 2 MB mailbox. What the fuck is like, how can you put something 2 MB anymore? Then you get automatically archived. So those clients will hate you for spamming them because one email from you will block all the other emails that from their clients or from their bosses, you see. So text-based, that's why over time I realized a lot of companies, the moment you put even some HTML code in it, they will just chuck it away. So text-based is the best.
Yeah, just purely text. Right?
Yes, no formatting, no bullet points, no, even your company logo so sweet, so nice also, you have to remove it because it's a piece of, it's coding. GIF, animated GIF, I see they're making a comeback, but I don't know whether GIFs is always a good idea because GIFs used to be used to transfer viruses.
Yeah, so as what Merrick say, layouts, like because of how things are like, so sometimes people, like what he proposes to just make it purely text without any HTML, like there's plenty of very beautiful looking templates. Sometimes you just need to Google them.
I think newsletters, okay, those kind of templates, you can still use it if there has been some form of back and forth communication. So if it's a cold email that I do, which I do predominantly most of the time, it's usually pure text. And what I usually do is that, so I'll write an email, and then the idea is that I don't even give them a link to download something. Let's say I am supposed to attach a brochure. Attachments are the worst thing ever. So let's say if I will say, okay, hey, if you're interested in this program, just reply to this email and I'll send you the brochure. So most people will think that, hey, Maverick, isn't that very manual? Because you could have just put a link there. But the fact that they reply is almost like training the servers on the other side. So, hey, there's someone from that particular company sending the email back to this total stranger before. And then that's how you build the relationship. And that's how you trick some servers which are not as smart. Because if the conversation have initiated from the client side, then it's easy. But if you just send a quotation over, sometimes it always happens when you send a quotation over to a corporate email, usually you find that it usually ends up in a spam folder.
Sometimes, I think sometimes these days people are just not just talk about spam, right? They're like, how do I get to the main inbox? Because many times people's stuff actually ends up in the promotion inbox, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so that's obviously
that's another conversation because the algorithm is really hard to decipher as well.
I think for that, the more personal is like for the conversations, the easier it is for you to get to the main inbox. So make sure you actually talk to the people as opposed to, I guess, the typical selling. They would definitely know the words that you're using and all. So definitely something to look out for. All right. So Andrea Foster also asked, how do you earn an income from Gmail marketing?
Yeah, which my response to that is just like selling stuff. Okay, you can build a list, and then from a list, I don't know, you can use it to do affiliate marketing, ClickBank, or whatever. Worst come to worst, since you already built the list, just sell the list. There are so many people selling databases anyway. So I think it depends on what you're really trying to do. You can actually sell over email. So I just love it when people say email marketing is dead, because the more they believe it, the higher chance there is for me to actually be in the inbox of my prospects, you see. So please go on and continue believing that email marketing don't work. It's a selfish intention. It works really well for me.
And you earn more money. You earn millions.
Yes. And I think for those who have been doing Facebook ads for a while, I think you will notice that just starting this year, the ad costs have increased. One thing that have quite stagnant over the years in terms of the cost is always emails, because even though you increase by 1,000, it's really marginal. I think chatbots are close to it. So someone asked about chatbots as well. So I think chatbots for now is a good trend. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months, but as soon as your messenger inbox get cluttered, just like how your inbox get cluttered, I don't think it's going to work anymore. So the only problem with chatbots is also most corporates still don't allow their employees to use Facebook. So
Fair enough.
so some chat bots won't work. So end of the day, if you're doing B2B, right, it's still going back to either the phone call or you have to use emails or blog contents.
Yeah. I think this is to answer Jin Chow's. So Jin Chow asked, if there's a competition between email marketing and chatbots. So I think first thing first, you need to know your audience, right? If
Yes.
in the company, if the person cannot even use Facebook, no matter how advanced your chatbot is, you wouldn't be able to reach that person.
Correct.
And I think not just that. I think chatbots right now, I think beginning of the year or end of last year, a lot of chatbots are free. But right now, when I actually look at the cost, right,
It's actually not cheap. Yeah.
It is so expensive, and they count any engagement of sorts as
one subscriber.
One subscriber, and it doesn't mean that they are actually interested in you. And it's so easy
True.
for you to get these people to kind of just engage with you, like
PM best price or something.
Co-engagement of sorts, and they consider this as one subscriber. I actually think that it's getting a lot more expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
If you look at prices like Chatfuel, ManyChat, if you were to compare with just take MailChimp for example, you will see the difference is a lot. So so I think chatbots will work for a while, but I really don't know what's going to happen next year, whether there's going to be automation or chatbots for WhatsApp, for example, whether they can open their APIs for one. But over the in and out, like TikTok is like crazy right now. But some trends will go, some trends would rise. But somehow, if I look at the past 15 years, emails still stand. So that's why for those people who say email marketing don't work, right? You can just send me your email databases. I would love to collect it. Yeah.
Okay, so I think let's go to the part where you're talking about growing email lists, right? So some people ask, how do you get emails and how do you blast your emails to them? So I think one of the ways you did it was by collecting cards.
Yeah.
But other than that.
Okay, so there are a couple of ways up to November. If you had asked me in November last year, I would have recommended LinkedIn because LinkedIn used to have an option where you can export all your first level email addresses. Right now they need consent, which is terrible. So last time what we used to do is that we would take that personal email and we continue the conversation off the LinkedIn platform.
Yeah.
Of course, for those of you who are smarter, you can always import that particular list as a custom audience and then you target them on other platforms like Facebook, for example.
Yeah.
But now you can't do that anymore. So, but there are still other platforms where you can, like hunter.io or scrap.io, where they can try to guess a person's email. If you notice, if you work at certain corporations like Deloitte, for example, the format of the name is always the same, like Audrey Link, Audrey.link or Maverick.fu or Maverick_fu. So they always try to guess emails. So you can use those kind of tools to try to guess the email. Sometimes they'll search all over the web for the person's email as well. It's stuff like this. Personal email, I usually don't like to email a person because if they were to ask, how do you get my email address? I actually don't have a way to answer it. But if they ask, how do you get my work email? So I say, I was just at LinkedIn and then correct. So then I say, okay, that's how you get my email.
Yeah. So I think that's great, right? And I think Aziz asked, I know there's a lot of people, when they actually sign up for your email list and later on they start unsubscribing. So for him, it's like, how do you retain your email list of followers?
Continue to be interesting. I think attention is a true currency commodity right now. So you always have to ask, like, if they are going to spend 5 minutes to read whatever stuff you've written, right? It has to be more interesting than whatever stuff that they are seeing elsewhere. So I think content is still king. Of course, content has to be relevant to them, then it becomes king. So if you say you build a list of managers, corporate managers. So every week you were to send something like how to make them a better manager, how to delegate their tasks better, how to coach, how to ask questions, how to do firing, for example, how to do hiring. So anything that's related to a manager, of course they will click on it. Yeah. So like that's why it's not so much about clickbait anymore, because if it's a topic is interesting to that persona, then yes, it will be interesting. So if you're always sending buy this, buy that, if you don't buy, you're an idiot, buy. So usually that one will end up in spam and they unsubscribe. So I think where Gary Vee said it right is that where you jab 3 times and then you hook. So you can do 3 pieces of content which value adds and you don't sell at all. And then the 4th one, you you do some soft selling, and then you do another 3-1, 3-1 again. So that's a method of, if you want.
Yeah, so I guess in a way when people are so accustomed to having your content and then after that suddenly you sell a little bit, you'll be like, oh, it's fine.
Correct.
Instead of just selling, I'll be like, okay, I have to run away.
But you can always put a PS as well. So it's like if the whole piece is just pure content, then after your signature, you can always put a PS at the bottom. Then you say, hey, if you're interested to discuss more about this, hey, just reply to this email. And then let's talk. Just make it something easier. You do get some replies from that, even though you're not intentionally selling. Yeah. But when you do sell, please have one freaking CTA only. Some people like to follow my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube, click on this, buy that. Just ask for one thing. Even if I think it's the same philosophy as landing pages. There could be multiple buttons, but all of it lead to one place. Yeah. So emails are the same.
Okay, so Ken Lam asked, how do insurance agents do in email marketing?
I thought Ken was in my class. Okay, I don't know whether you were this week or last week. Ken is from Great Eastern. So, okay, for Ken, if you're doing B2B, it will work. But B2C, if you're selling to a man on the street, it's going to be a bit more difficult because it depends on how often they check their emails. Because if you're a corporate employee, you have to clear it every day. Sometimes 4 times a day. But if you are like your personal email, how often do you clear it? Once a week?
No, like once 3 weeks.
Yeah, if I open up your Gmail app, I can see like 9999 emails like outstanding, right?
Yeah.
So that's a problem with personal emails because a lot of times people don't check it as often. So in Ken's case, then that's why if you understand the customer and their buyers inside, you will know that, okay, maybe going to chatbot makes more sense rather than going for email marketing. You can try, but it won't work as well as B2B, guaranteed.
I think I was actually following someone as well. I can't remember what's his name, but I always remember his content, right? So he is also selling insurance.
Yep.
But I actually do subscribe to his mailing list, and I've never, even though I don't read it often, but every time I open it, I don't mind having it, and as in when I open it, I see his name, I'll just open up and check it out. Okay. And what he does is that he does like what you say, right? The jab, and hook, right? All the jabs he did was really sharing, how I could save money, or sharing, about some parts of, like how can I really truly secure myself as opposed to selling insurance to me.
Correct.
Because all of us are always being sold insurance, right? But so many of us are being sold insurance, but so little of us actually know nuts about insurance because no one really educated us about it.
Sure. And
then suddenly this guy start educating it, and you suddenly realize like, oh my goodness, my insurance agent told me this, and he is telling me something else, right? What's happening?
So who's the authority right now, right?
Yeah, who's the authority right now? But because he takes such an unbiased position, then obviously I look at my insurance agent and I'm like, this person is just trying to, get a big cut out of me.
But I think it's brand building through email. So I think whatever the person is doing is smart. So like what I usually recommend to the insurance agent that I train is that, because if you look at the policy itself that you buy, it's like freaking thick, right?
Yeah.
There are so many words. Okay, most of us don't read lah. Okay, I'll let you know if AIA or G is listening in. Yes, you can trick us. We don't even read those words. But if let's say the agent were to take a couple of words and every week you just put in a definition, like when you see this word, what does it mean? And don't just give a textbook example. Okay, for example, if Audrey were to be hospitalized, touch wood, hospitalized, and the expenses is this much, so she would be able to claim. But if the expenses is this much, then she won't. So just give examples, and every week I will look forward to that email because it's short, so it's less than 2-3 minutes read, and I actually learn something about. I may actually go back and flick through my policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So someone even asked me. Okay, insurance is actually easy. Someone actually asked me, how does a coffin house do content marketing? So that one is so bonus for those who understand, who are tuning in as well. So of course it's very pantang to basically promote coffin houses lah. And the person who asked was very insistent as well, because I would have used a business development method, like you partner with certain bureau homes, but she said, okay, what if just you can only use content marketing?
Okay.
So then you have to understand, before a person dies, in the last 6 to 9 months, natural death, not sudden death, usually the people around the person who is dying will be searching for like palliative care, will be searching for like nursing homes and all that. So if those information are given either in blog posts or in emails, right, like preparing for someone that's living, how do you deal with the grieving in-law, for example? So those information will be useful because those will build brand, and eventually if the person really pass away, so I think you got the business of them buying the coffin.
Yeah.
So as long as you understand who's the decision maker, who's the one that buys, and okay, obviously the person is dying. If I'm dying, I won't buy the coffin, please. So it's usually Will that's downstairs who will buy. So even though the subject is around me, but the target audience is actually their family members. So if you understand that's why I say a lot of times marketing, you have to understand the buyer's psychology, because Facebook can die tomorrow. And then what? So you stop doing advertisement, you have to start exploring. But once you understand customers, right, once they still have money, I think you still have a way to influence them. Yeah.
I love that, right? Understanding customer journey and understanding who is the buyer and who is the customer. Who's the user. It's just two different people sometimes.
Correct. If you understand the journey, right, then you'll use, then you think, can email marketing or emails inject in their, let's say the person is awake from like 7 to 11 at night. So then you need to start asking yourself, at what point can email penetrate? So as an employee, I know anytime between 9 to 6, I can penetrate you. Okay, that sounds really bad. I can penetrate your inbox. But after that, maybe I need to shift over to YouTube ads, or I need to retarget you on other platforms. So end of the day, the tool is shit. It's always about the customer. If you understand where the customer sleeps, where they eat, like when they, in Asia is tough. So for example, when they take a shit, do they squat or do they sit on the bowl? Then you know how to place the particular ad, right? Do you place it very low or do you place it higher? A man at the urinal, for example, you need to start monitoring how long they take to pee. Then only you know how much text to put on the ad, right? So it has nothing to do with the ad. It's all about the person's behavior.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the questions that people ask is they are asking the how question. Email marketing can do wonders for all of you. But the truth is that if you don't understand the customer journey and how to interject, it's useless.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, Suraya asked, what he said, hi Maverick and Audrey, love the conversation. Want to know what are some mailing lists you personally follow?
Okay, I've followed some. Okay, for some weird reason, I follow Edmund Lowe because he's quite diligent. Although can be quite salesy as well. Sorry, Edmund, but that's the real truth. Then I'll follow the Hustle. Hustle does it very well. AppSumo's one is pretty good as well. Who else is good? Granted by Adam Grant. But he hardly sells. Actually, he never sells. I think he's all about info giving. 5 Bullet Fridays by Tim Ferriss. Kevin Rose have one. I think it's the Journal or something. So that one is quite strict because if you don't open his email for 3 times, right, he unsubscribe you on.
Wow.
Yeah, so Kevin Rose one is pretty good as well. So, and a lot of times those people, they don't sell. It's just about the information that they give is just amazing. So that's why based on understanding how they build the list, right? And if you want to take something from it, as long as you give content that is interesting, that is value adding, that is entertaining, people will not unsubscribe because they don't want to miss anything, right? Yeah, but don't email people every day. Eric Feng emails you every day. That's like, I collect emails. Some of my email boxes are really big. But I guess he just stamp up like maybe out 7 emails. One Audrey will click and then he will buy something. She'll buy something.
I can't stand it if people tend to spam me every single day. If there's just too many emails every single day and I see the same name over and over again, I would actually unsubscribe the person. Sometimes people do ask, like, how often should one person send an email?
Putting in the context of B2B, I usually have a practice of 1 email a week, at most 2. So just for the sake of it, but I think for B2C, I don't know. I think my personal thing is I still keep it once a week. So although sometimes there's a newsletter. So newsletter is like, hey, these are the 3 blog posts that we've written for this week. So I'm just giving you like a curated list. But at the same time of that week, if let's say I want to promote something, I think it's still okay. So maybe 1 at most 2. But of course, those of you who are doing B2C, you have more excuses because you know why? Your transaction emails can also be used as a marketing opportunity. So let's say you're sending the receipt over and people are expecting the receipt. Receipts have one of the highest open rates actually, because people are already expecting to open it, right?
Yeah.
So you can put a little marketing campaign over there at the bottom, or just storify it a bit, give them additional video or point them to a blog or something. So I think a lot of people forget about the transactional emails that you send out.
Yeah.
Especially to Grab, because every time you take a Grab ride, they give you a receipt, right? Yes, so for Grab, I think the CMO, if you're interested, you can always talk as well. Every day you got shitload of opportunities to send an email. If you don't know, I will
Talk to him.
Yeah, give me like unlimited credits and I will consult for free.
Okay. Ricky Sue asks, what is the best practice for email newsletter?
Oh, okay. So newsletter, you have to understand is it's always like a curated list of like this week in digital marketing. So you take something from The Verge, you take something from other sources, and you combine. It could be your own blog as well. So a newsletter is always like a curated one. You can always write, like Adam Grant's one is a bit different because he writes his newsletters as well. So best practices is try to keep images as low as you can. End of the day, it's still text. You can use templates, but I realized that the foundations templates are some of the best because they are really clean. So don't try to put like dual. So I know some people, they like to put like two images side by side and then column, but hey, please, like your phone, some people's phone are really small, so you can't do dual column emails. So for my case, if you are on any of my email lists, it's always one image and then a column of text. So I know you may open up on a 4K TV, but you're still going to see that format because I think most people read it on their mobile nowadays. So newsletters also, I guess this is more copywriting than anything else. You can have multiple paragraphs, but don't keep a paragraph too long because on the screen like this, again, it's going to be like really blocky, right? Yeah, other than that, text is, end of the day, I think it's always the subject line for open rates. Unless you are a brand that people look forward to, then you can forget about your subject line because they already look forward to you. If it comes from Richard Branson every week, I will open for him because it's Richard Branson. He can write whatever shit he wants as a subject line. I will still open it anyway.
So I think just now we covered quite a bit of email subjects, right?
Yeah,
so,
surprisingly.
To Shirley, Birian, and Izon, who is asking on how to create interesting email subjects, as well as how to attract people to open your emails. Just like what Merrick said, it's okay to do a little bit, clickbaity style, right?
Yeah,
like
I can
7
split
out of
test.
10 people,
Yeah, you can split tests as well. Of course, one thing I didn't mention is timing. So, like if you are working the B2B crowd, Tuesdays are a very good day, 10 to 12, 2 to 4. Thursdays are my second best days. Wednesdays are my third. Because Wednesday is usually the low.
Morale very low.
Yeah, correct. Friday they would not. But interestingly, I'll be experimenting with Mondays though. So Mondays, if your emails are short and you keep it between 9 to 12, some of the open rate is really good.
Of course, like the first thing in the morning
Yeah,
on Monday,
correct.
you need to check your emails.
Yeah, best
send
focus,
anything,
right? Yeah, whether you're fired, get out, just a pink slip.
Yeah.
So what I've been playing a lot is also drip campaigns where cold email. So like if you don't open email 1, email 2 will send out email. So I always try to put email. So email 3 is always my breakup email. So email 1, I'll try to sell something. Email 2, I'll try to build relationship. Email 3 is like, hey Audrey, obviously you're busy. I want to get out of the inbox for a while. And I realized that breakup email, right? If I send it on Monday, my response rate is the best. They will come back and say, hey Maverick, I'm sorry, I have been really busy, But they didn't know that I'm sending out like 10,000 one day. So they think that every day I would like write one by one, right? Look, I'm a lazy fucker. Of course, I won't do it. But it's okay. Let the clients know that I still personalize. I think that's the hallmark of good email copywriting, though. If they feel as if like they are writing to me, like to one person, even though they clearly know the person is like writing to 4,000 or 5,000, I think that's where you hit a certain level.
Certain level of copywriting, really.
Yeah, I think it goes back to copywriting.
Yeah, it does. That's awesome. Okay, so some of them actually asked, right? What is the most important aspect when it comes to building email lists, email campaigns? Is it the images or the designs or the content that is the most important?
I would still say content. So if you want to go, I think I put in sequence, right? One of it, the answer.
I probably cut it out.
Damn it.
I separated them.
Okay, for me, basically is inboxing rate, and then after that is open rate. Then after that is effectiveness, as in click-through rate or whatever you call it. Last thing is visual. So visual, of course, you don't make it ugly lah. Just keep it something simple. Even fonts. I know I think MailChimp has allowed you to embed Google fonts, but anything that's embedded, just remember it's additional CSS codes, and if sometimes they use JavaScript to pull the fonts as well, which is a very bad idea. Yeah, so go with Times New Roman because Times New Roman, Arial, Century Gothic, sadly Comic Sans are all fonts that are already in. Almost the oldest grandma machine in the world will have those kind of fonts. So just play with those fonts first, because I think for me, getting the emails into the inbox is priority over design. Yeah. Steve Jobs can kill me on it, but because Steve Jobs always focused on design, had to be important, but end of the day, practicality for me is you need to get into the inbox.
So I think this can also answer Sarah's and Jean's email, right? Jean's question, like, how do I know if an email campaign is successful? What kind of metrics should I use? So like what Merrick said, inboxing, open rate, click-through rate.
And sales lah. Obviously, the result, whatever result you're trying to get, if you are getting them to like subscribe to a YouTube page, so that is your result. So you always have to measure the end result. If your results sales, then obviously it's sales lah.
Okay, so there's another very interesting question. Anis asks, how do I segment my audience and make sure they are properly directed, down the funnel? I think this is a very good question.
The good thing about some email apps like MailChimp is that they have scoring. So like those who always open your email, they have higher score. So maybe you can segment based on their engagement. So that's one. You can always segment based on time zone. I think it's automatic already. So you can basically, which frankly is not really accurate all the time, because they always read the last 2 or 3 email, the time you open the last 3 emails. But what if you're traveling that week, right? So that one I don't really segment as much, but I will segment based on again, back to B2B. So it's based on their roles and based in the company. So let's say a manager, I will basically say words like, okay, this will help you and your people improve their communication skill. But let's say I'm sending to the executive, to the person directly, I will say, hey, okay, learning this will help you become better in the eyes of your leader. So you need to put some form of segmentation, if you want to do that, based on their open rate is the best. So that's why going back to MailChimp's the star system. So someone who has like 1 star, then you maybe don't email them as often. So those who haven't emailed for a while, haven't opened your email for a while, you can just take them off the list, and maybe after 2 months you try again. So this kind of segmentation would be ideal, and you can always split test. So which is great, because most of the mail apps, I personally like MailerLite a lot more, but most of them have good split test mechanisms.
Yeah. Okay, so Yajeta asked, how long should an email marketing campaign run for? Because after a while, she tends to run out of materials.
Okay. This one actually depends on your sales cycle. So let's say your sales cycle is short, which means the moment they, again, it depends. If let's say it's a remarketing email, they go to the website, they add to cart, and then they didn't check out, right? So that one depends on the cost of the item and the sales cycle. So if let's say the sales cycle is 1 month, then I guess you run the campaign for obviously 1 month. Then after that, you can take a gap for 3 weeks and then do one more email like, hey, in case you're still thinking about it, here's a vacuum cleaner that you've forgotten or whatever. But for B2B, the challenge is always the long sales cycle. Like one of our lists is where they download an ebook of 21 employer branding ideas. And after that, every week for the whole freaking year, they will get one more tip, one tip in the email for the whole freaking year. So that's how long the email. So yes, running out content is one thing, but by the end of the day, again, sounds like nagging. But if you go back to the customer psychology, right, sometimes you actually will never run out of things to talk about on. Yeah, like you can talk about an app that can help them improve their productivity. If they can, you can go to Blinkist. You can go to Blinkist and get some book summaries and then put it inside. So I think it's quite hard to run out of ideas if you understand the customer well enough.
I think the whole theme, I think the whole theme for today is really how well do you understand your customers.
Correct.
And if you don't understand it, whatever tools that you have is not going to help you. Yeah. Okay. So all right. Just now, I think you talked a little bit about the kind of softwares that you use, but let's just repeat that again. So this is by Eileen and UNT, right? What is the best email marketing tools, data analytic for email ads and email content tools that are out there that just now you said you like, right?
Okay.
What are some of the ones that you look into?
Okay, so like Hasman is saying, get response. Okay, there are pros and cons. So like get response, one of their issues is always, I don't think it's actually good for those who are really beginners. If let's say you are a SME business owner, you have like a list, 1,000, let's say 500 people on the customers, right? And you're like, I don't know whether email marketing can work or not. So I think jumping onto get response may not be the best. Sorry, get response, but because they start charging you the second month onwards, you see. So while you are still testing out the channel, I feel that it is bad that you are charging them now. Whereas I always like the model where MailerLite or MailChimp uses, where the first 1,000 is free. So you can take like 6 months to try out this 500 contacts if you really see ROI, and then you convert. So, but of course, actually, most of the tools today are the same. But I still like MailerLite is because it's one of the few who has the ability to send plain text email newsletters, which is the newsletters has zero code, nothing. And then it has the feature of a rich text format, which means that so when you are sending something from your Microsoft Outlook, so that one's rich text format, which some companies don't do. I think Aweber doesn't do that. So for newsletters, those are the few. My personal favorite that my go-to always is MailerLite first. If really difficult, then I go for MailChimp. MailChimp's biggest advantage is integrations. Almost every fucking app in the world integrates with them. So, but my personal favorite goes to MailerLite is because their automation sequence are so much easier to set up. MailChimp, I don't know what the monkey is trying to do sometimes. So you have to think like a monkey, like, oh, okay, so that's what they are. But whereas MailerLite is just A/B, like if they open this, do this. If they don't open this, do this. So I guess background as an engineer, it makes sense, the flow chart. But those are newsletters. So on the other end of the spectrum, you have cold email tools. Cold email tools is not the same as newsletters because cold emails are usually used to nurture and then get them to buy, right? So usually what I do is that those people who are on the cold email, if they don't respond, after a month, I will actually shift them to my newsletter. But if I want to sell them something, I will put them on the cold email first. So like auto close, auto KLOSE is really good. Then there is also Mailshake, and then there's also Stackmail. Stackmail is running a discount right now for a lifetime, I think. So all those are good cold email tools where it will send as if it's like a one person sending using Outlook. But and then if it routes through Google Suite, it's the best because delivery rate is
a lot higher.
Yeah, correct. I realize that they are a lot higher than SendGrid right now. The only problem with Google Suite is that you can't send more than 2,000 emails a day. But if these are cold email, okay, another way is you open 5 email accounts. So if you really want to send 10,000 emails a day, right?
So for you, why do you want to separate it out? Like there's the cold email and the newsletter. What benefit do you see in separating it out?
Okay, one big benefit that cold email sequences have is that like it has this super feature that I love, which is that if the person doesn't respond to the first email and then the second email goes out that time, it actually automatically attaches the previous email. You know how you hit reply? Yeah, so it has that function, which so far I've not seen any.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, so MailerLite and all. So when the client when the prospect opens, I said, oh, I've been missing Maverick's email for the past like 2-3 times, and the timestamps are all there. So AutoClose did it really well. Mailshake did it really well. That's the cornerstone feature that I always look at, because. But some companies will say that feature is redundant because in Gmail they will automatically append similar title emails together. But if you're talking to corporate, sometimes they don't use the most latest software, right? Yeah, so that's the reason why.
So what happens if the person missed 20 emails? Then all 20 emails will be in there.
Yeah, you'll be that automatic append. Of course, you can also set a feature to not append the previous email as well. Yeah. But usually my emails at most, the longest is 5 to 3 campaigns for cold. Because don't forget, you are a total stranger to them. Like you send them email every week. That's like, I don't know, that sounds really bad.
Yeah.
So usually it's just 3. So first email is just trying to get a response from you. Second is trying to get some engagement, give you some value, add a very short piece of information. and the third one is a breakup email.
Yeah, I think what's really good also is that if those people are not responding to your cold emails and then you move them to the newsletter, you have a good idea that for your cold emails you're only getting people who are of a certain quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and usually what I do is that when I move them over to the newsletter, I'll say, hey, so Audrey, since you're not responding and I don't want to disturb your inbox anymore, I'm going to shift it to our list where every week we'll share out really interesting content. But do know that at any time, if you want to unsubscribe, you can let us know. So my way is always I add them to the list, because if I ask them to subscribe, right, it will take forever.
Yeah.
So like anytime when I go out and network with someone, if I get their card, I will add them to my email list. I don't bother to do the double opt-in, but at the bottom, I always say that, I realize that you love marketing stuff, which is something that I'll share every week. So at any time you want to unsubscribe, you can just remove yourself, but I already subscribe you first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's another way, but either way, because you are like the same company and everything is the same, so it's still fine. I know that there are some cases where, for example, if you are subscribed to, let's just say, company ABC, and then suddenly you are being added into the XYZ mailing list, and these are two completely different companies, and sometimes people will get a bit annoyed with that.
Yeah, even for brands, I think it gets really confusing as well. So I think that's something that you should avoid, or maybe in the first paragraph just say that, hey, we got your email from our sister company, so, and realize that you may be interested in this as well, at least some point of reference. So like, for example, if you send an email and the person say, hey, I'm not the person in charge, let me, why don't you email this other person? So a smart email marketer, what they will do is that when they email the other person, they will CC the previous one. So it's like, hey, Audrey recommended me to like talk to you, Bob, so that adds credibility, you see.
Yeah. I think this is another case, right? Like sometimes people, I think buying email lists is not wrong. Sometimes they buy and
they don't have to use that.
They just blast it out to everyone, and I think that's why sometimes people will say that, is there some way or any way I could complain, to MCMC or anything for selling my details and so on. So what are your thoughts on those things?
If you look at the fine print of all your credit card application forms, right, they always say that we have the right to basically disclose your information. If you're not happy, you don't sign up for the credit card. So technically you sign already, right? You sign it over your whole life anyway. But I think the fact that they still put the unsubscription button there is a good thing for you. So one, I think buying lists, I personally have bought lists before. So like, for example, some exhibition, like for manufacturers, for example. So all the manufacturing companies are there. So I will actually buy the list. Sometimes it could be quite expensive, like between 2 to 3 or to 4 ringgit per list. But then what I do is that after that, I would email the person, say, hey, I noticed that your company was exhibiting at this exhibition, but I didn't have time to meet you. So then the person would think that, oh, because Maverick was at the exhibition. So that's how, so you have to pandai a bit lah. Don't just like straight away just open and sell. So I think that's where I still collect hideous emails. Like there are some trainers who just try to prove that they are not colorblind. Like every word they have to put pink lah, purple lah. I'm like, what the heck's wrong with you? Just do black and white is enough already. Yeah, or they had to put like 6 fonts into one email.
Yeah, I've seen that before. But I don't see that very often anymore.
Yeah, you can go to I spend quite a lot of time in the spam box because I look at all this kind of weird stuff, right? But one thing I always recommend people, you want to learn good copywriting, study what the Nigerian prince does. You know those Nigerian prince emails where I got this pot of gold, but I need you to deposit some money. That scam have been like, I think 12, 15 years already. And every day you still hear some people getting it, right? Means something is right. So either is the story is good, the emotion, they really understand the customer journey. And think about it, they actually send out mass, they are sending out like, 7 billion people on the planet. And so the way they structure it is so universal that anyone from different countries can relate to it. So those to me are the ultimate email marketing gurus, which if they use their skill for something else, it will be damn great, but they rather do this kind of stuff, which is nothing wrong still. But so I always like to read their emails because like, oh, so now you're talking about your mother dying again. And it's like, and you read, which is really interesting. And then ultimately people click and bang in the money, right? That's like the best. I
remember reading it when I was really young, right? I can't remember when was that, but But so seeing
Yeah,
the
the more innocent
the more innocent times, right? Then I was looking at it and said, "Oh, poor guy. Oh wow, he's trying to give me money."
Yeah, correct.
And I actually did reply, but after that, I'm like, then in my mind, like, it's just too good to be true, right? But
True.
that time when I was looking at it, I actually did reply, and I can't remember if that person replied me or not. Been so long, right? But I think after that, it really makes me think like, wow, like I actually replied. Like, I wonder how many people are like me.
Yeah, every day
oblivious.
there is. Every day there is. So, but I think it's just learning the tricks. So I think scam artists has been existing for like thousands over years, right? But there are sleight of hand technique, like how they use certain hypnotic languages. It still works. So that's why when it comes to marketing, right, people are always looking for whatever that's new. I actually look back in whatever that's old, because if whatever that's old and still working today, right, man, that shit will work, because chatbots, maybe 2-3 years, if nobody use it anymore, that is dead. Snapchat has actually gone down quite a bit since TikTok came up, right? So these are all up and down, but you have to look for things that are consistent. So I think human behavior is always the consistent one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Okay, I think the last question is, right, like, is there any word of advice for people who want to embark on this whole email marketing thing for their business? Why do you think they should do it?
Okay, so for one, I guess for those who have been in business for a while, you have collected quite a fair bit of emails, right? So I think start with those, whatever money that you want to spend on digital marketing ads, just take a bit and just try to focus on the context you already have, because actually I don't understand why businesses, they're spending so much time getting new customers and they're not selling to their existing customers.
Yeah.
Right? So just put them onto a mailer list or list, and then the first email will say that, hey, we always wanted to thank you for supporting us. Starting next week, every week we're going to send you some things and information. So try not to learn how to sell yet, learn how to add value. So if your emails doesn't sell at all, it's fine. Just every week you add value, and then you notice the open rate slowly opening up. And then what you do is that if you have their details, you got a salesperson to call. If you see the person consistently open your emails for 5 weeks in a row, right? Obviously, they are interested already. So that's one thing you can do. That's for those who already have an email list that they don't know. Actually, most of us have an email list that we don't know. Like every time when you send out an invoice or a PO, there's already an email address. So why not just follow it up? And then for those who are doing B2C, I guess my recommendation is that make use of your transactional emails. The receipts and all that can do so many things. Again, shout out to Grab. So, and then for those who haven't collected emails yet, I don't know what the heck you've been doing, but like name cards and all that, you can start keying in. But if let's say you're really noob, you have zero contacts, then I guess a good way to start is that you go to LinkedIn, make friends from there. Anytime when you go to networking events, you start collecting. Run your own email list. I know Bob runs his email list, so it's not and every week just share something interesting. He hardly sells. I think it's always like, oh, this week I saw something interesting and I'm just going to talk about it, right? So I think that one's really good enough, because people are just very forgetful, but after they meet you and then every week they kind of see your face, right? And your title may be interesting, your face will be interesting, but they may not read the content, but the fact that you're always in their mind every week, I think that's it's hell of a good shot. And all that is it's actually free, because if you code less than 1,000, it's free. So why not just try it for 21 days? I guarantee you something will happen. Just don't try to sell upfront first. Selling is not, I'll tell you, it's not as easy as you think it is to sell over email. I myself, I have shit mail sent to me. So, and then you know how good you are, right? Once you got shit being sent to you. So at the start, just nurture the relationship first, build relationships, and then eventually they will start replying. Like newsletters, weirdly enough, we just started our authority weekly. There are people who reply to our newsletters when we say, hey, thanks for sharing this, and I'm like, okay. The fact that they open, I'm already quite happy. So but that's how we stay fresh in their mind. So now among our team, anytime when we collect emails, we just add it to the list. So even though we have nothing to sell them yet, or they don't want to buy anything from us, we are always in their mind.
Yeah, I think, in essence, it's just treating people the way you treat people in real life. Yeah. But
technology should be an extension of that, not you abuse it in any way. Of course, you can send out 10,000 emails at a time, which you can't call 10,000 people at a time.
Awesome. I think that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for all your insights. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be able to I mean, they're watching, they're tuning in right now, and people who will be watching it in the future as well, they are definitely going to get a lot of wisdom from you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.